Good morning. Guess what day it is? It's May 12th. Couple of things going on today. It's National Nutty Fudge Day. And it's National Odometer Day. And I'm going to give you some information about odometers. And this comes from a lady named Mary Bellis in the history of odometers. An odometer is an instrument that records the distance that a vehicle travels. Encyclopedia Britannica credits Roman architect and engineer Vitruvius with inventing the odometer in 15 BCE. Did you get that? 15 BCE? It used a chariot wheel, which is of standard size, turned 400 times in a Roman mile, and was mounted in a frame with a 400-tooth cogwheel. For each mile, the cogwheel engaged a gear that dropped a pebble into the box. You knew how many miles you went by counting the pebbles. It was pushed by hand, though it may never have been actually built and used. Isn't that amazing? A wheel that dropped a pebble in a box. Blaise Pascal invented a prototype of an odometer, the calculating machine called a Pascaline. The Pascaline was constructed of gears and wheels. Each gear contained 10 teeth that, when moved one complete revolution, advanced a second gear one place. This is the same principle employed in the mechanical odometer. Thomas Savery in 1650 to 1715 was an English military engineer and inventor who patented the first crude steam engine in 1698. Among his other inventions was an odometer for ships, a device that measured the distance traveled. Ben Franklin in 1706 to 1790 is best known as the statesman and writer. However, he was also an inventor who invented swim fins, bifocals, a glass harmonica, watertight bulkhead for ships, the lightning rod, a wood stove, and an odometer. While serving as Postmaster General in 1775, Franklin decided to analyze the best routes for delivering the mail. He created a simple odometer to help measure the mileage of the routes that he attached to his carriage. An odometer, called the Odometer, was invented in 1847 by the Mormon pioneers crossing the plains from Missouri to Utah. I was surprised about that information. But you know, this made me think of the children of Israel's journey from Egypt to the Promised Land. I asked Google the distance between Egypt and Israel, and the answer said, of course it depends on the specific location, but it said if you fly, which of course the Israelites couldn't, it's about 422 to 470 miles. If you drive, it's 775 miles. I assume that's the most direct route. If they had gone that way and traveled 10 miles a day, it would have taken 77 and a half days, or about 2.5 months. Some sites estimated that it took 11 days to reach the edge of the Promised Land the first time. But even from the beginning, they didn't travel the nearest route, because God knew they were not ready. Exodus 13:17 says, "Then it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt." So sometimes we don't reach a goal when we think we're ready, because God knows we're not and need to grow first. According to Rowe's Book of Bible Charts, Maps and Timelines, they made it to Canaan, or the Promised Land border, in 2 years. God knew now they were ready, but they didn't think they were ready. They didn't trust God. So, because they didn't believe, they would have to wander now 40 years before they would enter the promised land. And only those under 20 years old would be allowed to come back and go in the promised land. Numbers 13, 31 to 32 says, "But the men who had gone up with him said, 'We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than us.' And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, 'The land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature.' So the people were afraid. They did not trust." Numbers 14, 22 to 23 and 29 says, "Because all these men who have seen my glory, and the signs which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have put me to the test now these 10 times, and have not heeded my voice, they certainly shall not see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor shall any of those who rejected me see it. The carcasses of you who have complained against me shall fall in this wilderness, all of you who were numbered according to your entire number from 20 years old and above." So a trip of 775 miles grew and took over 40 years. So remember, God knows when you are ready to move forward. Pray that you will not be ahead of His leading or reject His plan when He opens a door in your life.